year for peace on earth and to spread good cheer. A bash, a rocking party, filled with fun where the laughter is hearty. It's the Pokemon Christmas Bash, with Team Rocket, Brock, Misty, and Ash. So without further ado, here's a Pokemon holiday greeting for you.
Who's that Pokemon at the Pokemon Christmas Bash? Who's that Pokemon?
Hello everybody, this is Nick from the ArcadeHunters.com. Welcome you back to episode 136 of the Arcade Hunters podcast. And to the north of me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Gerard. Gerard, happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you, Nick.
Very good. We are celebrating our Christmas themed episode. It is December the 14th, Saturday, December the 14th. We've got very exciting for our fans of wrestling out there. Saturday night's main event is back, and they're doing it at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, where I know that I have gotten to go see many wrestling shows as a kid. I don't know if you ever got to go there, Gerard, to see the shows over there, but...
So I'm not wrestling. I have been there a ton of times. I've seen hundreds of Islanders games there and a couple concerts, but as a kid, I wasn't into wrestling.
It was funny because when I went there for my first ever show, I forget what I was sick with, but I remember it was like I was watching like Saturday wrestling, and they said, Nassau Coliseum, they're going to have a 20-man over-the-top battle royale with Andre the Giant. And I was like, Dad, I want to go. And then I remember, like, there's like a big wall. It's got to be different now because they've updated the Coliseum. But they have the whole thing with, like, the Islanders about, like, you know, the dynasty that they had. Yep. And I was looking at that, and I'm like, they're good? Like, that. My dad's like, yeah, they were really good.
They were.
And I'm like, how come we haven't gone to see an Islanders game? And he goes, well, I don't like hockey. And I went, okay.
It's funny. So this shows exactly. I remember when I was in, like, middle school, going, like, it'd be a random Saturday and there'd be nothing going on, and my dad would go to my brother and I'd be like, hey, you want to go to an Islanders game?
Yeah. Okay.
Drive out there. Tickets were like $10 each or $8.99, some ridiculously low price. They were not selling out because they're not too hot in the early 90s, but it was just a thing, and we always got good seats and watched the game. And when the last time I tried to get tickets to a hockey game, it would have been like $300 for like middle of the row seats for two people. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
We had a thing working down here for Publix down here. They'll do a thing like it says, like, you know, Publix and the Tampa Bay Lightning invite you, and it was like almost over $100 a head, and it said, oh, food and drink included at the Budweiser Beer Garden. And I'm like, I don't like these people sober, and you're going to be giving them alcohol? I'm not going like that.
I think it was the Florida Panthers years ago used to do that. Tickets were cheap, and it included the buffet or Budweiser Garden or whatever. Because I remember one of the friends I was working with, this is going back maybe 13, 14 years. And he's like, dude, we should buy plane tickets and fly down there just for the game and fly back. He's like, the cost of the plane tickets, the hockey tickets, and transportation, it's going to be cheaper than going to go see the Bruins.
Yeah, it's insane.
And he said, the Bruins are going to be playing them down there, so we could just do that. Yeah,
that's like when most people go for whenever the Yankees are playing, they're always the most expensive because, like, people can go see the Yankees and it costs them a fraction of the price of going to the Yankee Stadium because of how friggin' expensive it is. So Gerard and I have a lot of things to talk about. Gerard got to go back to our good friends over at the Southern New Hampshire Pinball Club, and they got some new stuff over there. So tell all the kids at home all about the stuff at the Southern New Hampshire Pinball Club there, Mr. Gerard.
So it was probably about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. I think it was the weekend right before Thanksgiving. And it was great because I finally got to see the new layout. It makes so much more sense. When you walk into the club door, they have the desk right there on the right-hand side with the computer that's hooked up to the flat screens for scores. The little couch sitting area is right over there. And then they have the games along the wall to the left and the back wall, and then some more games around the corner. Around the corner is also where a lot of the games that they're working on are kept. And what's really cool is it looks like they tried to group the games. So it's not like in alphabetical order. It's not in order of release. It's trying to group them so when there's leagues and tournaments, you don't get bottlenecked with 20 people waiting to play a modern game. The modern games kind of spread out, and then the classic games kind of spread out, etc.
Yep.
For a grouping like that, which is nice. And a lot of the games were working and in good condition. I played a lot of Jurassic Park. I still can't get the hang of it.
Do they have the Pro or Premium over there?
It's the Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And also Godzilla Pro, I played a bunch, but that I do have a hang of because I have played a ton of that. And I'm trying to think. What other game. And then I think it was the usual Spider-Man. Always play Spider-Man there. Always play Terminator 2.
Here.
A little bit of Alien Poker, and it's great. So it's definitely worth checking out. It's in Nashua, New Hampshire. It's a Southern New Hampshire Pinball Club. You can find them on Facebook. You can also find their website. The website is a little outdated. They're working on updating it. Events and everything are posted on Facebook, and you can reach out to the moderator if you want to come check it out. Suggested donation is $10. And if you become a member, it's $40 a month. I know I'm excited. Next Sunday, I'm going to be going there because I haven't been there. It's going to be a month, trying to go there at least once a month and play a bunch of games.
Make sure you get your, bring your camera, get a video uploaded for all the kids.
Yep, I got of the new layout now that it's done and organized.
So I also went, I haven't been to one since I worked at one here back when I lived on Long Island, but got to go to the local Dave & Buster's. Not really local. It took me almost an hour to get there. So I was just like, oh my God, so much construction. It was raining like cats and dogs. I had to go the one day that it rains down here. And got to play some of the new stuff. I was really excited to see like the Angry Bird ticket, the coin pusher, but I couldn't get it to start building the tower. I really wanted to see how that feature works. I wanted to see, I was like, how does this work? Like that, because I saw like someone was playing it and they were getting ready to push the big thing over of it. It didn't help. I went during a Wednesday, so all the games that gave out the most tickets were being sat on by people. But I was very surprised. I was talking to one of the ladies. She told me at my other job, she told me that she was one of the managers there. They said they got rid of the giant 4-player VR cabinet that they used to have. Like Dave & Buster's went all in on VR, and they had this 4-player motion thing. But there was a whole bunch of problems because you had to like set and figure this thing out, and someone said that they had it set too high, and it started arcing and sparking. So, and then the worst part was if people got inside of it that were too fat, you could break the machine. So I was like, with the girth of America, like present company included with me, I was like, geez Louise. So they had the Godzilla one from Raw Thrills. Unfortunately, it was not updated, so it only had the it only had 2 stages, and I think it was Megalon or Megaguirus. I think that's the one that's like kind of like a lizard, like a kind of like a big like a Gila monster kind of thing. I forget what the name of it was, but there's a lot of action to it. It's a lot better than the King Kong game was, because the King Kong game, I don't know if you ever got to play it, Gerard.
No.
It has tracking on the VR headset, so the idea is that you can reach your hands out and like you'll see treasure and stuff like that. You can grab treasure and then you'll get attacked by bugs and stuff like that. So you have to like reach up and swat them, and if you get like they'll shoot like slime on your face. You got to wipe it off and stuff like that so you can see. So they use more of like the traditional sit-down cabinet that they use for pretty much every game that Raw Thrills makes that has sit-down on it. So it was really cool. I couldn't believe they had it. They had Elevator Action Invasion from Eunice.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this. I'm like, I've got to be the only person who knows what this franchise is. And it just basically, unfortunately, it's a poor man's time crisis. It has these doors that open up and close on them, and you just basically just shoot generic bad guys in a helicopter. It's set for family friendly mode, so it had green blood. I was like, just make them robots so they explode and
Yeah.
spark, so it looks cool, you know. But the doors on it barely worked. So
Ah,
I think it is a sequel because there was one that I just love the name of it. It was called Elevator Action Death Parade.
yes.
And I think it was basically like the same game. I think this is just a newer version of it. They also had NBA Superstars from Raw Thrills. Unfortunately, this was playing on the previous version of the game. Supposedly, they are working with a brand new update. They had it at IAPA. If you look at the videos that Adam from Arcade Heroes took, you'll notice that they kind of more they gave the characters more of a cartoony look, so they have kind of like a big head to them,
Hmm.
so you know, like, okay, that's LeBron James on there. But um, I did not like the way it played. It felt very clunky. I guess they can't do the one-to-one on the controls because they do not own the NBA Jam license from Electronic Arts.
Yep.
So, like, when you're playing it, I'm so used to like holding down the turbo button and pressing the pass button to shove the other player to get them to give up the ball. You do it on this one, you change your player. So they want you to double tap the turbo button to shove people. So it's just not very intuitive. Supposedly, I heard that this update changes up a lot of the controls and makes it more like NBA Jam. So
Yeah.
until I find out if they update the game, I'll go in there and give it a whirl. One of the funniest thing was I played this Spider-Man coin thrower from Andamiro. Now they make a bunch of games like I love Baseball Pro. Unfortunately, this location didn't have it. They didn't even have Dance Dance Revolution, which was weird not seeing it
Yeah.
there because usually I was expecting like a half price Wednesday, like all the gremlins to all be over there in the corner just playing the games because hey, they loved it. We had one guy. He came in. He played games. He got tickets. He got food and stuff like that. He had a great. That was his Wednesday. He goes. I make sure every week I ask for Wednesday off. This is my day off. You know, I come in. I play. And um, this Spider-Man coin thrower
I
that they
was
have.
just gonna. I was just gonna throw in. We used to do that
Oh
many,
yeah.
many years ago. We used to do the. It was on sale. It might have even been Wednesdays where the card was
Hmm.
the meal and card
Hmm.
was like $15, and you got like a
Yep.
$20 card or something like that. And we'd play the couple old games and fun games, and then we'd go and hit up that Monopoly machine to get as many
Yep.
tickets as we could because you're trying to get a new camera.
And everybody and their mother was all over Star Trek. I couldn't
Yep.
believe this place had regular coin pushers. The one girl told me, he goes, yeah, we really hope that Race Frenzy game goes on fire soon. We can't stand working on that thing. And I was like, yeah, I said, I'm really surprised that you guys have those still. I mean, our store got rid of those. But the Spider-Man coin thrower, it's pretty cool. It has it looks like the hand and it goes back and forth, you know, with the
Hmm.
kind of like the I love you thing that a Spider-Man does when he shoots the webs. And you throw coins and there's 3 slots on there, and if you get it into the slots, it'll roll like a bonus wheel. So I got all 3 of them, and they have these. It uses coins, and it also uses like the balls on there. So
Yep.
there's like smaller balls, and then there's larger ones. And when I walked up there, there's 2 at the top, like right at the front. So I end up getting it. It drops a couple of balls, and it starts rolling the bonus wheel. I'm sitting there. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I only put 1 credit in. And I'm looking at the top. It goes into bonus, extra bonus. And I didn't know in the middle, it's on an arm. This thing comes out and it starts spinning.
Hmm.
If I show you the photo of it, it looks really cool. So it starts spinning, and then you use the button to stop the prize award. And I ended up getting the jackpot. I got 1,000 tickets. I was like, okay, all right. I got a little Deadpool keychain to put on my pinball machine. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. I mean, you go in there. I just go in there to have fun. I already know
Yeah.
that when you put money into a ticket game, they're getting the money. But
Yeah. But
you
one
play it
thing
for
you're
fun.
Yeah, and that's one thing you're pointing out, and that's one thing I also want to point out. us being arcade hunters, if it's a game that's fun, doesn't matter if it's redemption, pinball, a DDR game, shooter, whatever. If it's fun, we'll play it. And lately, there's been quite a few redemption games that have been popping up, I'd say, over the past decade that are actual games and have gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
There's still the nonsense. Like, I remember, what was it? Angry Chicken or whatever, or Spinning Chicken?
Dizzy Chicken.
What was it?
Dizzy Chicken.
Dizzy Chicken. I remember seeing that and
They
thinking...
still have it. They still have it, baby.
I remember seeing that and thinking, this looks awesome. The molding of the chicken, everything. It's literally just it's like the bass food. Drop a coin, do. That's how many, it tells you how many tickets you want. I'm like, that's it? This whole big friggin' production for that?
Yeah. Here you go. Press the button.
It's like the Frogger Redemption game. I'm like, awesome. You can play Frogger and win tickets. I'm ready. I'm like, okay, hop. I go to hop again. I'm like, no, it's just you press it once and hope he makes it to... I'm like, oh, that's such a...
So I also got to go to see my friends over in Tarpon Springs. I got to go see Steven and Bobby over at the Replay Museum. It's been a long time coming. I got to finally go and visit them. So they've got over 100 games. They have pinball, they have arcade games, they have classic and 90s games, and it's all $14 a person. How can you go wrong with this, Gerard?
You can't.
Steven is really good tech. Obviously you're at a pop. So the pinball machines are getting used to death. So he does really good job keeping them all together. Flippers are nice and strong. That's the one thing that I noticed. All the games had really strong flippers on them. He really takes care of his games and tries to clean them as best he can. They have a Hercules right there in the front, so everybody sees it like, oh my god, I've never seen one this big before. And I said, yeah, you never will again. It's way too big.
I was going to say, share for the listeners what POP stands for.
So POP, as we like to call in our thing, is a pay one price. So that means the games are all set to free play.
Yep. Pay a fee to get in. All the games are on free play. It does not mean it's a pop-up.
Yeah, not a pop-up store. No. And like some stores do it differently. Like I really got to get the guy's name because I love his place. He does a YouTube channel called Your MK Arcade Source, and he's in Wichita, Kansas, and he has a place called The Arcade. And the way he has it set up is he's got a bar and he's got food. So he has I don't know if you've probably seen him at gas station, Hunt Brothers Pizza. Mm-hmm. So he has he got Hunt Brothers Pizza, and you can go in there. You can get a pizza and food and stuff like that, like mozzarella sticks. And he's got a cocktail Miss Pac-Man machine that's on free play, so everybody can play it. But then he has a shit ton of arcade games. I think he's got almost over 100 of them, and they're all I think he said $10 or $15 for the bracelet, and then on the pinball, skee ball, and I think Mario Kart Arcade GP, he does token play on them, because he said the same thing that I thought. He is just like, I am not putting these pinball machines on free play. They'll get the crap beat out of them. At least with here, we know that someone put $1 in, and we can put that towards fixing it and stuff like that. He's got this.
I was going to say, now I have a big question. You're throwing numbers out like $14, $15. I mean, people aren't charging between $50 and $60 for like a day pass?
No, I'm surprised with certain places up north. But they do stuff for the kids. They have monthly passes and stuff like that. So it's all really good stuff. I mean, I went from playing pinball and then going. They have two Astro City cabinets. Someone had donated the board for Bucky O'Hare on I was like, oh my god, I was playing Bucky O'Hare, and they had an Atomus Wave with Dolphin Blue, and I totally forgot how bad that game plays. It is like slow down the game, and people think like the board's broken. I was like, no, that's just how this game plays. I can't take it.
No,
there's
I have
too
a
much
question.
stuff on the screen.
What would you classify Bucky O'Hare as? What type of game?
I would say that's more of a beat 'em up, kind of like how Sunset Riders was. It's very Sunset Riders, where even though it's a shooter, it's more of a it's just that Konami beat 'em up. There was just a couple of games that were like that. There was another Ninja one that was like that. It's the same thing. It had these, I forget the name of it, but it's really cool. It's got like these ninja characters, and it's basically like Ninja Sunset Warriors, and then Sunset Riders. It's like Ninja Sunset Riders, and the other one was Sunset Riders with rabbits and whatever the hell. I think Jenny's a cat or whatever it is, and the duck
Yeah.
is obviously, and then there's the Blinky, the robot on there.
Yep.
So good stuff over at the Replay Museum. Thank you, Bobby and Steve are listening. Thank you very much for having me and letting me fart around in there, get a whole bunch of pictures and stuff like that. Big thanks to all the people on the on TikTok. I still don't understand how I post one thing and all of a sudden it's got like 700 hits. I was like, holy crap.
There's some funky algorithm, and when you hit it right, it blows up.
I don't know how it works. I mean, we've got an update from Stern. I still don't really know how this works. They're talking about the Stern Pinball Cup, where if you play games on Insider Connected, there's supposedly like different objectives and stuff like that, and that's how you place. So it obviously is going more for the homeowners and people that have access to more arcades. So
Yeah.
you get on like this leaderboard, and they're supposedly like doing different things on it. It was updated yesterday, and since I worked, I have not gotten a chance to try out any of the games on there, but probably after we record this podcast, I'll go downstairs and fart around with it, see how it works.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people don't get it.
And I was like, we'll see how it works. Hey, it's something fun. Something to do with the Insider, see how it works.
Yep.
I mean, it was funny because people were complaining like, you guys didn't update Foo Fighters, what's the code? And they said, oh, we snuck that in there. They said, oh, okay. So, no, it's already there. So they were getting all worried. Everybody wants to just like, oh, my game didn't get updated. So, I was like, no, the game was updated. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. So speaking of pinball, Gerard, we got to talk about the new toy that came out. I got mine a while back, and Gerard just got his. We're talking about the Pin Snake.
The Pin Snake, I love it. So what it is, it looks like one of those snakes from the 80s that used to get as toys that would kind of, they're plastic and wiggle around left and right because they're in segments. It's that. I love how they put eyes, like a face on it.
Yeah, he put a little eyes and a tail on him.
And then you have a stick at the end, and you take a microfiber cloth, and there's Velcro, and you connect it with the Velcro, and it allows you to clean your ramps, your orbits and stuff on the pinball machine, get to those hard to reach places. And it's great because I'm looking at my Oktoberfest. The orbit is a nightmare to get to and clean.
Yep.
And the corkscrew ramp, same thing. And this thing's going to I haven't had a chance to test out cleaning my pinball machine because it's been busy, but I have taken out and messed around with it with the microfiber cloth, and I have a feeling it's going to be awesome to clean the machine now.
Yeah, I remember seeing this. He had posted it on Facebook, and I looked at it. It's like, oh, that looks cute. And then he had supplemental videos with it, and he was talking about how, like, he's got a Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and he was trying to clean the ramp, the orbit shot, because, like, you have to pretty much, like, get the whole thing apart. You can't really get it in there. And I'm getting out. I know we talked about this before on here. I have the booklet upstairs with me. So big thanks. Let me get the gentleman's name again. I forget it off the top of my head, but really cool stuff. I mean, he talks about like he had a Terminator 2, but it works really good. I used it on my Deadpool, and pretty much the only thing you can't really get in there is getting into the Colossus shot. It's a very tight shot, so if you have like a lot of tight shots, it's the same thing on Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters has like a very tight shot that goes under the right ramp, but you can get all the way around on the orbit for Foo Fighters. It's great because you don't have to take the machine apart. You can just sit there and you can spray a little Novus 2 on there, or you can, if you have something that's really bad, you can put some naphtha on it, and you'll get it nice and clean. But I'm glad that it's been getting out there and getting into the hands of people that have been giving it rave reviews. I know Kerry Hardy did a whole video about it, and he was cleaning some of his games on there. And it's kind of surprising because, like, with my games, or it's just me playing them, and I only play them like maybe like a few times a week, and I'll go through it and I'm like, oh my god, look at all the crap that I got off on it.
Yep. What's cool now? So I ordered mine. I think it was the Friday. I think it was Black Friday. I think it was the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And they also had, I think it's a 3-pack of the microfiber cloths. And the microfiber cloths that they have, it's basically it's the same length as the pin snake, including the handle, but it's only about like maybe 4 inches wide and like an oval, so it fits perfectly on it without having any extra overhang or anything. So that's awesome to have those.
That's the one thing that I want to do is that I ordered it as soon as it came out because I heard people like, oh, this is great. And then all of a sudden, like when I ordered it way too late because I was on the list. But that was the number one thing that everybody was asking. You have to include more of these rags. Because someone said, oh, you can just use the other side. And they're like, yeah, we know we can use the other side, but we're just going to, if you got a lot of games to go through to clean. It was funny because I mentioned it to my good friend Sam that helps out with Marshall over at Little Shop fixing some of the games. And he got a thing that I don't know where he got the idea or where he found it, but it's used for cleaning a gun. So like if it's it kind of looks like it's on a telescope, but it's got kind of like a cloth kind of like style, like a microfiber rag on it. So the idea was like, let's say if you've got like a rifle or something like that, you can stick this thing all the way down the chamber and get it clean. So he had that idea. Even back then, he was just like, he goes, oh yeah, he goes, I'll put it on there if I have to get into something, if I'm just doing like a quick clean on something, if I'm not taking it apart. And then when he saw that, it's like, oh my God, they took my idea like that.
And right now, I think the 3-pack of the microfiber cloths, I think it's like $10, $10.99. It's not a lot.
Yeah, it's not a lot. And if you've got, it's great. Even if like, you know, for Gerard and me that only have like a few machines or just one machine, it's great because like we said, you don't have to take the entire thing apart to get behind there because there's some of these games that have orbits. I mean, like on Deadpool, it's got an orbit, and you know, you don't have to take it apart and try to like, you don't risk trying to break any of the sensors and stuff like that on there. He made it specifically that it fits through the ramps. It is the width of a pinball. Yep. I mean, it's not too big because like it's just like Gerard said. Like I've seen like there's a kid that comes around the store with special needs at my supermarket, and I see him with one of those kind of toys. And I was like, oh my God, it looks like the pin snake that he's got on there. So I kind of think about that. So really cool stuff. So we'll skip the other one about the sale price because we got some stuff from the Game Awards, or as I just like to call, you know, the Game Pandering Awards. Pretty much everybody just watches it just to complain online about how cringe it is, and they just talk about the trailers. So that's what we're going to talk about because we got two trailers that have come out, and they are arcade related, so we got to talk about them. So first off, Gerard coming back from the dead from Temco's archives. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Or as Gerard and I were joking, like we said it as kids, we used to say Gadian or Gaiden.
Yep.
So this is a brand new 2D hack and slash. Looks like more like a platformer. It looks like there's stages and stuff like that you're bouncing around on. It has a very heavy anime influence. Being made by the fine folks over at .mu. So if you guys know .mu are the folks that I think they just did the Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, called Rita's Rewind, which I've been hearing rave reviews for. And, of course, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge.
Yep.
So these guys got the license from them. I think this is the first one since, what was it, Ninja Gaiden, like, Yabai or something like that. It had I was telling Gerard, like, dude, the only thing that was good about that game was the hot cosplay that the cosplayer Jessica Negri did. Other than that, was just like, yeah, it's like I remember like a photo of that cosplay came up and I said, oh yeah, that was that one weird ass Ninja Gaiden game that came out and everybody forgot about it.
Yep. Looking at the game, I'm getting some almost like Strider vibes too.
Yeah. it doesn't kind of feel like a Ninja Gaiden game, because I kind of think of like if you're going 2D Ninja Gaiden, I think more of like the really hard, stringent platforming
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that with the stuff coming out at you. This kind of feels more, like you said, more like a Shinobi
Yep.
kind of style game and stuff like that, which, hey, I don't mind. I'm always up for a good action platformer. And it looks like in
I was just going to throw in, it looks like a mix of the old school Nintendo games with where is it Ninja Gaiden or Gaiden?
Gaiden.
Or where Ninja Gaiden has gone when it went to 3D with on the Xbox and stuff like that.
Yeah, it still uses like kind of that the Dead or Alive influence, because that was like they kind of use the same costumes, and it looks like, I think the character's name is Hayate. That's with him. That is like the one that has like no memory or something like that. I guess I didn't even know he was like in that universe with them. I know Akane was the girl with the purple hair.
Yeah.
So I wonder if she's going to be making an appearance, because everybody loves Hayate, and Ayane. It'd be cool to have her in the game. Maybe it has multiple players, but the game is not coming out until the summer, so there's probably a lot more that they're going to be talking about. But the one that I'm excited for, and probably only me and like a very handful of the hardcore people, Gerard,
I'm there with you.
Virtua Fighter is back. Oh my goodness gracious me. So they had a brand new trailer. It just shows this bird with a weird eye, and it goes... You just hear like two people fighting, and then I could kind of tell, because like Akira just has that shoulder charge.
Yep.
That he does. It knocks a guy in, and you just see it's like this old man with like a hat on, and it just says Virtua Fighter is back, and then it has his catchphrases, "You're 10 years too early," like that, and he turns around and like they just show like a brief snippet of an actual fight on there, which is Akira versus technically a new character. I don't know if you saw. So very surprising that they actually did a Virtua Fighter Direct right after the Game Awards, and it had I don't know if you got to see it, Gerard, but it was like a half hour. Okay, so Sega released a Virtua Fighter Direct, which I can't believe that there's enough news that they could do a half hour for a Direct. I'm like, oh my god, like this game hasn't been updated in 13 years, 13 years was the last update. So they had, so this is all from those guys, RGG Studios. I'm not going to pronounce it, but they're the folks that make the Yakuza games. And it's a lot of folks that used to work in AM2 and did a lot of stuff from old Sega. So it starts off with the COO of Sega saying how the original team is back. They are making this brand new, and it sounds like it might be like a total reboot, and they might just call it Virtua Fighter. It might not be called Virtua Fighter 6. So with the news that they announced, they have the Virtua Fighter Ultimate Showdown or Virtual Fighter Esports Edition on PlayStation 4 has a brand new update. So, and they're also talking about the one on Steam, which is called Virtua Fighter Revo. Now, the Virtua Fighter on Steam has what we've wanted for years. It has rollback netcode. And I have been playing the beta. It's only available for 5 days. So by the time you probably listen to this, it's over. So I apologize. But try to go on there now and wishlist the game, because it's 25% off, I think, for it. So I think it's like $15, which isn't bad, because you've got one of the deepest fighting games ever. But it's got rollback netcode. I've been playing it online. I've had a couple of spotty matches, but most of it felt really good. The problem is there's a lot the variation on players that I get to play either really know what they're doing or have no idea what they're doing, and I just feel like I'm steamrolling over them. I forgot the guy's name, but I ended up playing him like 3 times the other night. But shoutouts, there was a really good Kage player. A lot of Kage players on here. That was like the number one character I saw was Kagemaru. And I played one really good Aline, one really good Go. No lions. I'm like the only lion, so I know when I play as lion that I am like, the most hated person in the room. I don't know why I gravitated towards that character when Virtua Fighter 2 came out. I was just like I just like the kind of like the low like stance that he had, and he snaps at you and stuff like that. I don't know why. It's just that was a character that I mean, we were talking about Dead or Alive, and I don't play as Christy. And Christy's the more Mantis-like character in Dead or Alive. I use Hitome, which is just like regular karate like that, and it's like, okay. But here's the weird thing, Gerard. So like they're showing this photo. The only thing to like really show for this new Virtua Fighter is
I'm sorry, I have to cut you off and just throw this in. I think it's funny because Lion is one of my favorite characters for Virtua Fighter. I think it was Virtua Fighter 3 at Chinatown Fair where you were playing it, and you're like, "Oh, have you ever seen?" It was 4. It was 4. You're like, "Oh, have you ever played 4?" I sat down and played it, and you're like, "You play Virtua Fighter?" I'm like, "Yeah, I used to play Virtua Fighter."
And I was like, "Holy shit!" Because the one time I played it at they had Virtua Fighter 4. I don't think it was Evolution. It wasn't the one with Steve and Brad that they added in. No. But I remember some guy walked up to me. I said, "Thank you for playing with me." And he's like, "Huh?" I was like, "I didn't think anybody played Virtua Fighter. Everybody's playing Street Fighter. No one gives a shit about this game." And then I ended up beating the shit out of him.
Virtua Fighter, that series was... So it's weird. It's one of my favorite series, but it's also a series I have not spent an insane amount of time playing. And that's pretty much because, like you're saying, it's always been hard to find people to play.
Yeah, it's hard to find people that, thank God, now with the advent of the internet, it's like now it's the entire world is on there. So we're really going to get to see how big this crowd is, because now we got a brand new game coming out. They're talking about revamping the whole thing with it. So I just hope they keep all the characters. The one character like they show, everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's Sarah." But then they show the face on the girl, and she's got freckles. And it says on the bottom, that says the name is Stella. So we're like, "Oh, is this like Sarah's daughter?" It could be her daughter. We have no idea. So we don't know if there's been like a time lapse with this, because we can obviously, Akira's a lot older.
Yeah.
So does that mean Lau and Shun-Di are dead? Because, Lau was already looking like the Grim Spectre of Death, and then Shun-Di has always been really old, so it's going to be weird. Are we going to see like older versions of all these characters? Are we going to see their children or something like that? So it's going to be very interesting to see.
I'm excited for it. Now, I did not see, did they announce what systems it's going to?
They have not yet, but it does sound like obviously arcade, because, that's where their bread is buttered, obviously with Virtua Fighter. But it does sound like, the president of NVIDIA was on there, and he was talking about how, Sega gave us our first big break. We were going to do, originally NVIDIA was going to do the Dreamcast, and then it leaked out, and then he actually mentioned that, like, we were going to work with Sega. We were going to make the next generation of graphics with them. So he goes, "This is something that has always meant something to us." I mean, even if you don't like Virtua Fighter because of it might be too hard, maybe it's like, Virtua Fighter, I feel, is more grounded in reality than most of the other fighting games.
Yes.
Like, other than like the weird wacky shit that Kagemaru does, where he like does like the diving headbutts and stuff like that. I feel like Virtua Fighter is like more grounded in reality, and I can tell why. It's more slower paced, and it kind of punishes you for, most games that you can go up there and you can have like 2 or 3 characters that but I feel like with Virtua Fighter, you have to learn like one character.
The move list is insane.
It's like a laundry list, and they added more moves into this version. That's going to be so on Revo on Virtua Fighter 5. This is like they said we have not updated this game in 13 years. So on top of what they already did 2 years ago, putting it on Virtua Fighter on PlayStation 4 using the Yakuza engine, so the game looks like people are playing this game and they're looking at how great this looks, and they're like, "Wait a minute, this game's almost 20 years old."
Yeah.
Like in another 2 years, it'll be 20 years since this game came out. I think it came out in 2006 originally. And it's just been updated. I was reading somewhere they said the hardest part was the vocal lines because they're in like such low quality to what they are now. They sound really scratchy.
So now,
But I do.
is the update free if you own the game?
So yeah, if you have Virtual Fighter 4, Virtual Fighter 5 on PS4, you can also cross play it on your PS4 on your PS5, which I've been doing, and the update's free. On Steam, this is a brand new game, so because it has never been released on Steam before, so you're going to be getting there's not going to be any cross-platform play because it's PlayStation 4, and they were saying I don't think PlayStation 4 is really good at handling rollback netcode, but I was playing on there. Like I said, most of the games were good. But there's one person we have to thank, Gerard, and I can't believe we're doing this, but we have to thank him. I'm not going to bother saying his name because I'm going to butcher it, but it's one of the high princes of one of the sultans of Saudi Arabia. Now, this is the gentleman that owns SNK.
Yep.
So this guy is pretty much one of the reasons why it's coming back. Because he's on the thing and he says about how he played it in the arcades growing up. He had a Saturn, he had Dreamcast, and he's so glad to see it back. So it's like, oh, thank God we have this guy championing for us. It's like I think this is the reason why Sega's been doing all like these crazy reboots of all these games. I mean, we got Crazy Taxi coming back and stuff like that. And then Capcom also on the Game Awards, not arcade related, but a new Okami, and a new Onimusha game. I can't believe this. We're getting all these great franchises back. This is awesome.
Hi all, this is Kermit the Frog, and I'm here to tell you the story about Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Monday at 8, 7 Central, a special holiday treat for the whole family.
Holiday greetings from CBS with these fine offerings. A Snow White Christmas, a brand new edition of the famous children's classic with 7 lovable giants and, of course, the Wicked Queen.
Mirror on the wall, I am the fairest of them all.
But when the mirror disagrees, the Wicked Queen plots her revenge.
Hey, kids, what do you think? Do we need more lights? We need more lights! They're coming, they're coming! Hey, kids, how about helping me sing my favorite Christmas song?
Take the holes with pepperoni. Fa la 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 la. Mustard, eggplant, and bologna. Fa la 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 la. Santa Claus will bring his reindeer. Fa la 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 la. In the sewer, how will they get here? Fa la 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 la.
So, let's get into the topic of the evening, Gerard. And we're going to talk about, obviously, this is our Christmas episode. So we're going to be talking about games that fill us with the Christmas spirit. Games that make us think of Christmas. You know, maybe we got it around the time of Christmas. Or maybe there's some, winter-themed elements in the game.
Yep, or it could be some of these games, for me, are games that, besides the snow elements and kind of Christmas feeling, I generally play in December.
Yep. So, Gerard, start off with one of the games from our list.
Well, if we're going to start it off, I'm thinking we start off strong. I know we have a nice order we put together, but I'm going to go a little bit out of order. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Absolutely. I remember begging for this game as a kid. Because, I knew when Christmas time came, I had the opportunity, if I was really good, depending on the year, I could get 4 or 5 video games, if I was lucky. So, I had to make my choices. So, I remember when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 was coming out, that was number 1 on the list. I made sure I bolded that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. That's what I wanted the most.
Well, it was crazy because there were ads in comic books. There was a TV commercial. There was all this craziness for this game. And this was, for me, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. That was the game I saw in an arcade. And I was like, holy shit, this looks like the cartoon.
Yes.
I'm playing the cartoon.
when that game came out, I'm telling you, let's get the date. I need to get the date. TMNT.
I want to say 88, 89.
I think it was 89. TMNT Arcade. Let me see. Yeah, 89.
Yeah.
October of 89, it says. I don't know how they know it came out October 11th. No, it's a gigantic, like, 400-pound box. But, man, that game from 89 to 90 ruled the world for us as kids. I mean, it was before, Street Fighter made it big. Like, Street Fighter came out in 92, and Street Fighter 2, I should say. We really don't. No one really counts Street Fighter 1. Sorry, guys. But we're just talking about how Virtua Fighter. You gotta recognize it. It's the same with Street Fighter. It started off the whole thing. But this game, I don't know about you, Gerard. It ruled the world, and it was like being arcade hunters. If you walked into a place that did not have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you were like, "What the hell? Where's my Ninja Turtles? Where's the game?"
Yep, I know. I've shared this memory before. We were visiting my aunt and uncle in the Poconos, staying at their cabin. We went to Camelback to watch the fireworks, and they had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. They only had like 3 arcade games and kind of the main like lobby, like viewing area for from where you can view fireworks from inside or whatever. And I was glued to that machine. I only could play it like maybe 5 or 6 times because I didn't have that much money. But then the rest of the time, I was standing there watching the older kids play it, going, "Oh my god, this is like watching the cartoon." And so when the news came out that it was going to be ported to the Nintendo, I mean, my little kid self was doing some quick math. One game is 25 cents. I usually need like $1 to get through one stage or whatever. Blah 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 blah. The game's going to be sold for $50. That's saving my parents money. We need to get this game.
Oh yeah, you had to save up for this thing. I remember. I tell everybody my favorite Ninja Turtle story was it was either 89 or 9. It was probably, so if it was 89, it was definitely summer of 1990. Went down to Disney World for one of the first times that I had good memory for, because my first time was I was 4 or 5 years old, so I only had bits and pieces of it. But they put the Ninja Turtles cabinet front and center in this arcade, and there was one kid that was pretending to play as Donatello. And these kids, I swear to God, we're going to beat the hell out of this kid to get him off the game. But yeah, that game came out, so my parents played a joke on me. So you know what they did? So
what did they do?
So we go through Christmas morning. I'm opening up all the games. I'm getting toys and some random action figures and stuff like that. Clothes, of course. Thanks, Grandma. And there's no Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I'm kind of getting pissed. And I'm just I'm just trying not to show. I'm like, well, I didn't get what I wanted. There was one thing that I wanted. I put it at the top of the list. Why would Santa do that to me? So we're cleaning up all the stuff, and then all of a sudden my father says, "Hey, you see something under the tree skirt over there?" I said, "What?" Right over there, underneath the tree skirt. You see something over there? I said, "Go look." And I put my hand on it. There's a fucking box in there, underneath the tree skirt. He snuck the friggin' TMNT game under there. So I was like, "Oh God, thank you." Of course, that was the first thing that I did. I ran right upstairs. All the other games, the other 3 games or whatever I got, went off to the side. I was like, "No, we're playing Ninja Turtles right now. That's what it's all about, baby."
The game was a blast. The Nintendo version can't. So this is what's crazy. Hearing a lot of the talk about arcade games being, especially now, if arcade exclusivity before it gets ported to the consoles. This game was ported to Nintendo in 1990.
Yeah, it was a year, and then it was automatic. And I think the other home ones were probably ported too, because you had it obviously we had. I really want to see what it looks like on the ZX Spectrum. That's gotta look weird.
Know.
It's like Atari ST, Amiga, Commodore, but obviously, the home version on Nintendo. And the reason why we also bring it up for, a holiday theme was it had 2 brand new levels. So we'll talk about the first one. Was like pretty much it was like Shredder's lair or something like that, like his dojo where he trains all the ninjas and stuff like that. So they had that awesome that extra stage with all the weird with all those weird friggin' ninja robots that you're fighting against.
Yeah, and like the tatami mats and the paper tigers that would jump off the paper screens, and you fought that weird like Shogun robot with his head that would come off.
Yep. It was like aren't we still in New York? What's with all this Japanese stuff? This is weird. But then of course we're talking about the stage that you go to Central Park and Shredder set off a weather machine and it is fully covered in snow. So we have, snow troopers. We have this, not a snow trooper. We're going off to another game. But you got snow Foot Clan soldiers that throw snowballs at you and stuff like that. And there, of course, is a polar bear named Tora. That's your extra boss.
Yeah, and it's funny because they definitely looked at Glenn Danzig in the leather jacket, and that's where they got the vibe for Tora. What's also crazy is I remember I got to meet, I think it was Kevin Eastman, and I had him sign my boxed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 game. I also got all the voice actors to sign it too. And I had Kevin Eastman even sign the booklet. And I asked him, I'm like, for this game, like Tora and the Shogun Warrior or whatever boss, I'm like, did you create those characters? And he looked at him. He's like, no. He's like, we did not create those characters. He said, when they were making that game, Konami was reaching out to us for some artwork and for some stuff. He said a lot of it was on their end. We had some input in it, but for the most part, they came up with a lot of their own stuff in the game that's not from. Like, okay, because there's a website that claims that you created Tora and the Shogun guy. He's like, yeah, I don't ever remember drawing them.
It's like, nope, that was all Konami. It's like we just said, okay, as long as the check cleared, that's what it was all. That was what it was all about.
Well, I think that was after the rights were where a lot of the rights were with the animated series, which I think they had they had no input into the cartoon, and so Konami was dealing more with that. I think they asked for some drawings and reference pictures, but that was it from Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird.
I know definitely. Like we were watching the other seasons, like, oh my god, is this guy gonna be in there? Is he gonna have a toy? And we're like, nope, didn't get one of those. And the other boss is just called the Shogun. So
that's okay. Yep.
But I think the thing that we all remember the most about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game is that the awesome Pizza Hut offer, which thankfully the folks at .mu, thank you guys and Limited Run, thank you guys for bringing that back on there. Really great stuff to see.
Yep, the coupon in the back for a free personal pan pizza.
Yep.
I think you were telling me a story about someone you knew actually brought it to a Pizza Hut like within the past 5 years.
I forget his last name, but he does a lot of great stuff over on social media. The guy's name is Gerard. He's actually one of the people that helps out over at Stern Pinball. He had gotten one, and he went to a Pizza Hut, and he goes up to the guy, and he's like, I've got this. And what was funny was the manager knew what it was because he was a kid too. And he goes, I'm going to accept it, but on one condition. I want it. Like that. He goes, I'll give you the pizza, but I'm keeping it. Like that. He goes, yeah, you got it. Like that. He said, oh man. He goes, I haven't seen this since I was a kid. Like that. So we have that. So obviously we got to talk about another game that was also in the arcade technically. We got to talk about a game that was high on many kids' Christmas lists. If we're talking about Nintendo, we got to talk about Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yep. Holy shit. And it's crazy. So I went to double check dates. So it's crazy how with certain games you can pinpoint your Christmas and your Christmas experience based on that game. So for the Nintendo, the game Super Mario Bros. 3 came out in 1990 in February. That's what they say. So that would mean Christmas of 1990 was when most of us have opened up that recognizable rectangle package that was a NES box.
Yep.
And saw Raccoon Mario flying on with the yellow background, and we lost our shit.
Absolutely. That was like the game to get. Everybody, I mean, I got it before Christmas. I was lucky. My father I didn't know was when he was on his way from work, he would go past the Toys R Us, and he ended up becoming friends with somebody, and they ended up getting it. And they kept the copy off the side for him. So thank God I had gotten it early. But man, that was the only game we thought about when that thing came out. I mean, it came out on. Obviously, the best idea was they put it on Play Choice.
Yes, the advertising and promotion was a juggernaut for this game.
Yeah.
Like you said, they had it on the Play Choice first, so you could play it in arcades before it was released.
There's something with them saying about how the revenue of their Play Choice machines shot up because of that. And Nintendo was super smart with this because, we are living, in 2024. We know about the internet. When stuff comes out, we know it's already there. So it's like, I'm thinking about like most anime that comes out, and a lot of fans get mad when the stuff isn't translated and ready to go, like when they have the subtitles ready. And I was like, here, the game had been out for like months, but we didn't know. We were getting drip-fed information from magazines and stuff like that. So if you had Nintendo Power, they pretended like it didn't exist. But meanwhile, if you had like other stuff like Game Fan and stuff like that, they're posting all the photos and people are going crazy like, oh my God, there's a brand new game. We want to get it. And I think it was, I forget the name, was it Cookies? Or something like that. I forget the name of it. It was a steak place on Long Island, and they had the Play Choice in there, and my brother and I are like, oh my God. And like, we had to play it. And I remember having the whole sitting there and playing it, and the damn controller didn't work. so we had to put in 2 coins to end up playing it on the second player side on Luigi, because the joystick ended up working on there. So,
and when thinking of the advertising juggernaut, I mean, you had the movie The Wizard.
Yeah.
And we all went to see that because we wanted to see an early glimpse of Super Mario Bros. 3. And that came out December of 1989, just a couple months shy of when it was releasing. Yep. I remember I had a friend in elementary school who somehow got the game early.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out, like, I think it was February. He had it in, like, I think it was January. And we were at the ground round.
Oh, yeah.
His parents took us, we were with I forget if it was his parents or another friend's parents, but there's a small group of us that we were brought to the ground round for lunch. And he's like, hey, guys, guess what I have at home? And when he told us Super Mario Bros. 3, we're like, bullshit, you're lying. He's like, no, went over and played it. It's like, son of a bitch.
That's like, everybody had that. I got an uncle that works for Nintendo. I got an aunt that works for Nintendo, and they told me this, and they told me that, and they know this game's coming out. And it's like, yeah. But then when you're sitting there and you actually say it, you're like, oh, shit, he's right.
That, and yet the commercials, the famous Mario commercial with everyone cheering, and it zooms out of the earth, and it's Mario's face.
Yeah, like I said, there was just certain things that controlled the world. And it was like those 2 years, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, Super Mario Bros. 3, it was just like, it was everything.
What was that?
No, I was saying you got sucked up by the whole hype of it all. It was crazy.
I was so obsessed. I remember, and this was, I think, maybe it was 1990. Maybe it was right after the game came out. But I remember family friends of ours were coming over for dinner. They were like old family friends that we used to see and hang out with and hadn't in a long time. And it was a couple girls around my age. So I thought, to impress them, I drew a picture of Mario in his raccoon outfit, like the cover of Super Mario Bros. 3, and hung it up in my clubhouse, thinking, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but thinking like they're going to see that and be like, you're cool, we should go out.
Oh, yeah, come on, ladies, this is it.
And in my old homemade wooden clubhouse that was built out of boards from the porch, had spiders and everything. It was like kind of a nasty place to hang out in, but yeah, never happened. But
hey, come on in here, ladies.
Check out my Super Mario Brothers 3 picture.
Dude, he's a raccoon. He can fly with his tail. We don't know why, but that's what he does. So we got to talk about pinball, Gerard. We got another game.
The reason we have it, besides it being a big Christmas, like one of the number one Christmas gifts, the whole ice stage.
Yeah,
when we're playing the ice stage, the fact that, creatures could kick, that you could pick up a block and throw it at creatures through us. The guy was a Spike that would belch up a spike ball and throw it at you.
Toss it at you.
I think that's also the first world where you see piranha plants walking.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the tube and shooting the spike balls in the air and the ice and everything, and the music of the whole world that had kind of like an ice chime sound to it. If there's a snow day, I'll load up. I'll go take a picture of the map screen. I have my Star Wars Christmas mug cup of cocoa next to it, and just play it for the vibes.
Yep, I'm telling you, man. It's like that music just brings me back when you hear it. Like if I hear like the desert music, I feel like I'm hot. Dun 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 dun, like that, and then you hear the ice stage, and you're like, oh man, like you could play this in the background while like you're putting up Christmas lights, and there you go. So we got to talk about a pinball machine that has a Christmas element, and that, of course, is Mark Ritchie's famous Taxi, where you can pick up good old Jolly St. Nicholas and put him in the cab.
Along with Dracula and other stuff.
With Dracula and Mary and what the hell's her name? Forgot her name. I'm looking at her face and I can't think of the name. I was gonna say. No, what the hell's her name? The actress that they sued over.
Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe. It's like, nope. Or I'm sorry, Lola. It's gotta be Lola. I was like, why do I know the placeholder name, but not the real one?
Not the real name. Yep.
Which I always find that shot in the game really hard to hit. Is Santa Claus's shot.
Yeah, Santa Claus's shot was a pain to hit. So the poster's crazy. I mean, the artwork is crazy. The fact that it's Lola, which is supposed to be Marilyn Monroe. You have Gorbachev. Gorbachev with the
Mikhail Gorbachev.
Yep, with the birthmark on his forehead. You have Dracula. You have Santa, and on the back glass, Santa's like running super late trying to catch a cab. And you have, is it Pinbot?
Yep, Pinbot. Yep.
When you're saying girl, yeah. So the flyer says the one taxi Marilyn, Gorby, Santa, Dracula, and operators everywhere are hailing. So the flyer actually said Marilyn on it.
Yes. And then they got sued by the estate of Marilyn Monroe.
Yep.
It's like, obviously, like, what's Mikhail Gorbachev going to do?
Yeah.
And then in the sequel, it was, we had Diner, which didn't really hit. Diner had just had racist stereotypes. They had one guy named Haji, for cripe's sakes.
Yep.
I was like, I want burger and chili, like that. And then you had to do the shots. I didn't find Diner as much fun as Taxi. No. I still think Taxi is the end all be all for me when it comes to that game. I will give a big shout out to our good friend Mr. Chris Bucci, because he showed something on his when he did his My Arcade series. He was talking about something that he did with Taxi, and I told my friends, I was like, oh god, we got to do this one time when we see Taxi. They play a one ball game and they try to see if they can get all the passengers.
And
that's the only thing. That's the only objective. Try to get the passengers. Don't worry about getting multi-ball. It's like, and everybody always dies when you're trying to hit the drop targets to get Marilyn Monroe.
Yep.
I'd say on that game, Marilyn and the Santa Claus are the hardest ones to get. I can barely ever get it into the Santa Claus shot.
Yeah, Santa Claus would drive me nuts trying to get that shot. Taxi is easily one of my favorite pinball games.
It's great because it's old, but it's very simple, and you know what to do automatically. You're like, let's get all the passengers. You got to try to hold the passengers so you can keep that bonus and keep it going throughout the entire game, which is a lot easier said than done on, like we said, that game, you'll play it and you'll either have like a good route on it, or you'll just be sitting there cursing the day you're born. Like that.
Yep.
That's just Taxi in a nutshell with that game. So, Gerard, what other game should we hit on that list? What you got?
So, up next, we have... Let's jump around to, how about Die Hard, the arcade game?
Yes, we got to think about Dynamite Deca.
Yep.
Which I had no idea when that game came out. Like, oh yeah, it's not really Die Hard. They just kind of put it in there. But very smart of them to actually put that in. The system is it's a STV. Yep, it's STV hardware / basically more of a beefed up Dreamcast. So this was a game.
Oh,
that had
you're mixing it, not beefed up Dreamcast, Saturn.
Beefed up Saturn. Yep.
Because there's also Dynamite Deca 2, which was a Dreamcast game.
Mm-hmm. I remember going to that one place, Kongman Center, just so he could play it.
Oh, that was the
that was
Asian Dynamite.
Asian Dynamite
on the Naomi.
Mm-hmm. That was a weird one. You never get to see that one. I hardly ever hear anybody talk about it. And then you mentioned that, you're like, Asian Dynamite? What the hell are you talking about? Like that? You're talking about like a Chinese restaurant next door? Like, no.
So I remember seeing the actual Die Hard arcade game at Sports Plus.
Yep.
They had it in the giant plastic cabinet. It had Nakatomi Plaza on the artwork with the explosion. And it's funny.
And that crazy old man that's talking like, and like, you got the president's daughter that's running away and stuff like that. So it's like, oh shit.
And what's crazy is the game itself, they added some elements to make it more like Die Hard. Like they changed like the outfit you're in and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it has. I mean, the only thing that's similar to the actual movie is just you're in a skyscraper.
Yeah. It's just like you're trying to work your way up, trying to save the president's daughter on there.
Well,
and
for me, you go.
I was thinking about the other character that you play as the one girl, so you get to play as Mr. McClane.
Yep. And the worst is when you go in the bathroom. There's the one enemy that's at the John just bouncing up and down, up and down, up and down in front of the mirror, and all. It's just like, what is that guy doing?
He's having way too much fun. That dude over there is like But
I was gonna say, what's the rule if you jiggle it more than 3 times, you're just playing with yourself?
Well, I always think of what is
Venture
it?
Brothers.
No.
Oh.
Venture Brothers is when he's like, he goes, oh man, it feels like feels like you're sitting on a hammock. This is great. But I also think of Adam West in Family Guy. Oh, thank you, Tinkle Fairy.
Yep, that. And
2 shakes. That's it. Oh, thank you, Tinkle Fairy.
Yep, exactly. That and for me with the Venture Brothers, it's did you dab? No.
No, I dabbed.
I dabbed. Stop saying dab.
Stop saying dab. But that game is really cool because there's just so much shit you can do. It almost has like fighting game special moves to it and stuff like that.
Yep, and it has the quick time events.
Mm-hmm.
There's guns, there's weapons. The music is very dramatic, and the main reason besides being loosely connected to Die Hard, which is a Christmas movie, and anyone that says otherwise is full of shit.
Yeah, we don't want to hear that crap.
No, it's a Christmas movie between the music, the setting, everything. Yep. It's not like those movies. It's not like a movie where a guy walks. I was gonna say walks by a calendar and it says December, and you go, "Oh, Christmas movie." No, it's full blown.
And so's the sequel, because he even says, "Hey, it's Christmas," like that. It's like, okay,
But
that's a Christmas movie.
For me, when I saw that this game was on the Saturn, there was 1 year I thought for sure I was getting a Saturn for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I was obsessed with the Sega Saturn. I wanted one so badly. I was also obsessed with the Sega CD. So can't always go by my judgment, but Sega Saturn. I saw this game. I wanted it. Asked multiple people. Asked everything. Ended up not getting it. Sega was running a deal. I think they were selling it for $99, and it came with 3 games. Came with Daytona, Virtual Fighter, and I think another one. They were I think they were all on one disc, or they were discs with cardboard sleeves.
Yeah, I think it was like Panzer Dragoon and like Virtual Fighter Remix or something like that. They were just trying whatever they could do to sell that poor thing.
Yep. And I ended up not getting it, but a little bit after I got it, became obsessed with the game Nights, beyond obsessed with Die Hard Arcade, and then when I saw that there was I think it's called Die Hard Trilogy.
Yes, that was on PlayStation.
I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, this is amazing. Then I looked at the screenshots and stuff, and even as a kid, I'm like, this doesn't look like the Sega Die Hard game I played. And then
no, it's a totally different game.
Yeah, do some research. It's like, oh wow. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna steer clear of this.
Yeah, it's an okay game for the time, but like trying to play it now, it's aged like milk. But that's pretty much a lot of the 32-bit era games. But thankfully, keeping that classic beat 'em up style with some of the extra moves. I just love the variety of weapons where you can go from picking up a broomstick and beating a guy with a broom, or picking up a fire axe, aerosol spray, or how about a shoulder-mounted missile launcher?
Yeah. Or even better, aerosol spray, and you spray it in their face, and the enemies are just like, ah. Or if you have a lighter, you spray it with the lighter, and you light them on fire.
Yeah. They thought this thing out, man, when they were making this game. It was crazy.
I still, for years, back when I used to have a Saturn, I had the Saturn arcade stick and Die Hard Arcade around Christmas time, just from those memories of always wanting a Saturn and asking for it for Christmas for a few years and not getting it. I'd break it out and I'd play through Die Hard a couple times. I would love it every time. To me, the game never got old. It was to me, it's one of those perfect like beat 'em ups that jumps to 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what helps it out is it did kind of feel like a Virtual Fighter beat 'em up. And while you were moving around, it would lock you in a space with a bunch of enemies, whether it was a bathroom or a hallway or the parking lot with the fire truck shooting the fire water, and you're fighting firefighters, which that never made sense to me. But I'm like, okay.
It kind of felt like they knew how to like lock it on the game because it was 3D. Like, on stuff like Final Fight, where you just kind of like you get on the same plane as the enemy. It was like you knew like the character would turn around and face the other character, so you knew, okay, this is the one that I'm fighting. So it didn't have like kind of like a clunky feel to it. It was you could show you that you could do a 3D fighting game, a 3D beat 'em up. Even back then with like that technology. I mean, it obviously got better with some of the Spike Out games, but obviously not the one on Xbox that I ended up getting.
I remember that.
Talk about a tale of two games right there, man. Holy crap.
Oh, I remember when I was living in Japan, I played Spike Out. And it was on a multi-link cabinets in an arcade, and it floored me. I'm like, this is like Die Hard Arcade, but on steroids. I'm like, I remember getting to a fight, and we fell through the wall, and you couldn't tell you were supposed to go through the wall. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I believe I was playing with one or two other people because the cabinets were linked.
Yeah.
I remember I was all excited when I came back. I saw that they had it for the console. I'm like, I'm going to get that game. I remember telling you, you're like, don't you dare.
No.
You're like, that's not the same game. I'm like, what? I'm like, how could they screw that up?
Let's make an arcade fighting game that doesn't let you continue.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? It doesn't make any freaking sense. It's so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to talk about a series, Gerard, that not just with the video games, but with the movies itself. And it's one that I think about Christmas all the time because my parents, one year for Christmas, got me the box set of it. And that, of course, is the original Star Wars trilogy. And we always think of, I always think about it because, when you're a kid growing up and you get that week off of school, you can do whatever the hell you want. So a lot of it would be playing through the arcade game, playing through the video games that I got, playing with some of the toys. But once I got the Star Wars trilogy, that became a rite of passage. I would watch one of those movies one a day until the new year. And that's how I always watched it once a year. It was just like, it was tradition.
And it's funny because that ended up becoming inadvertently a fairly recent tradition for me. Growing up, I was never a big fan of the Star Wars movies. I always liked Empire Strikes Back, but that was the only one I actually liked as a kid. And I remember never being too into it, never got too into it. I liked the original arcade Star Wars game. That was about it. And then when they brought The Force Awakens came out and all the hoopla about new Star Wars movies, I went back and watched the trilogy. It just so happened to be in December because that's when I believe Force Awakens came out.
Yep.
And I immediately became hooked and obsessed. And ever since then, I watched the original 3 Star Wars movies every year around in December, either beginning December or over when I'm during my break when I have off in December. End up watching them, and then I'll start and I'll play some of the Star Wars games. And one tradition has become usually the Sunday before Christmas or the weekend before Christmas, I'll go to Fun Spot. Usually if I have any last minute Christmas shopping, there's some places up in that area, and I'll play their Star Wars trilogy arcade game. Especially the Hoth stage.
Here's the one thing that I want to ask you about that game, Gerard. Is there any possible way to get on the high score list? I have never gotten on that high score list.
No.
I feel like that I've played that game where pretty much I can 1cc it up until I get to the end, because what they do is they space out the enemies and you got to try to like shoot them as fast as you can.
Yep.
And I always end up dying on that stage. I mean, I can play the first 3 levels perfect. I can kill Boba Fett. I can do the duel with Darth Vader, but when it comes to doing that last part, I can't friggin' do it.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's possible.
And that's what doing the bonuses and, tapping the button and getting the, like you get like the different mini events, like, Wicket will come down and jump on the Stormtrooper's head and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know if there's even a possible way to get on there unless you can play it without. Maybe if you continue, do you lose your points? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's an arcade game. There's definitely some cheese moments. I guess you have to play through multiple times to get on the high score list.
It might be. I have no idea. I think the game just shuts you off, because I remember one time playing it at Sports Plus.
Yeah.
And I was having a route and this guy was like, "Are you going to be done yet?" I was like, "Dude, I'm still playing." I had a crowd watching me because like the best way I've noticed how to play that game, you have to rapid fire, is you have to use your thumb and index finger and rapidly go back and forth, because if you just try to squeeze the fire button, you can't shoot that fast.
You have to do the alternate and click, 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 click. Yep.
And you can't do that when you're on the on-foot stages, because you will overheat your gun and you're pretty much dead. So you gotta be. That's on the Hoth level when you're going around, and there's the Wampas are coming after you and stuff like that. The snowmen and the stormtroopers, and then when you're on foot on the Endor stage, when the Ewoks are stuff and running around. Because like I had that where I was trying to shoot the ATST That's the boss of that stage, and I almost burned the gun out. So I was like, oh shit.
The thing that always drove me nuts about this game was the fact that there was never a home port.
No, never was.
Not even like a modern day home port where you could buy it for like $9.99 or something like that, because the game is not very long.
I would have loved if it had a home port, if it had more scenes from it, because it was cool. Like, we had, obviously they had Battle of Yavin, so you had to do Battle of Yavin, but there was nothing else from the original New Hope. It would have been cool maybe if they had, like, if you were in the Millennium Falcon, getting out of the Death Star to try to, like, shoot down the TIE fighters, and then you could do the Death Star run. And, like, it had with Empire, it had the walkers on Hoth, and then you got off, and then you're walking around inside too. And on Empire, it did the on Jedi, you had 2 Jedi stages, because you had the battle of the second Death Star, and then you also had the speeder on there. I mean, obviously you want to get the people on and off, and it had the 2 bonus stages, but it would have been cool if they had like a couple of extra scenes on there.
Yeah, and so as a kid, one of the games I mixed this up with was the Star Wars 32X game. And that's because that's essentially a remake of the original Star Wars arcade game.
And that's just New Hope. There's nothing else in that game.
But I remember hearing rumors that's connected to the arcade game. I always thought as a kid it was connected to this. I always thought that's awesome, because my problem is when Star Wars Trilogy was out, like at Sports Plus, I almost never played it because I didn't have $1 to play one game. I'd have like maybe $2 on me. What am I going to do? Am I going to spend $1 on that, or go play 8 games of Turtles in Time? What's more bang for my buck?
My thing was, I was going to play this game for $1, and I was going to see how long I could last on it. I was going to beat this game. I was just like, I'm going to make them regret that I put $1 in this thing. I said, no, I'm going to get through this whole damn thing. I'm going to beat it and stuff like that. That's how I was going to play it.
And for me, it's funny because not being a Star Wars fan, the main draw and attraction was the fact that I loved Atari Star Wars and used to play the shit out of it at Spaceplex when they had it.
I mean, that game was everything that I wanted from a modern Star Wars game, because we loved, I mean, that's still one of my most favorite games. And if I ever had the space or the place for it, I would totally get the sit-down cockpit of Star Wars with the kit that lets you play Empire on there. Because I never saw Empire ever as a kid. I didn't even know there was a sequel to it. I had seen Return of the Jedi, but that was very rare to find. You mostly saw the original. But
so I still kick myself to this day. When I was at Fantastic New England last April, someone had the Star Wars Arcade 1-Up for sale, and the last day of the show, they dropped the price to $200. And I thought about grabbing it. I'm like, no, I really shouldn't. Don't really have the money at the moment. I did play it there because it was in the game room, and the game it actually, I was shocked at how well it played.
Somebody made a replacement yoke for it, so it's more like the Atari one on there. It looked really cool. Big shout outs to the guy on YouTube that built himself a cabinet out of it. he said, I'm just gonna take the arcade 1-Up. He goes, I got the new yoke for it, and then he pretty much did almost like a 1-to-1 of the cabinet, and it looked really cool.
And that's
he put like crazy. A subwoofer in the seat so it shook and stuff like that. It's like that's something the original never did.
And it's crazy because to buy the original Star Wars arcade game, it's crazy money how much people want for it. And if you have just the one game, it does get old after a while.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of people that are into classic arcade games. There's so many people that have like classic arcade museums in their basement, and almost every one of them at one point in time had a Star Wars arcade, and then they sold it because they weren't, after a little bit, they weren't playing it enough.
Yeah, and then it got so old because it's literally 2 stages and that's it.
But if you have that
All
and
3
Empire,
stages.
If you have that and Empire with the vectors, there's more value there.
I mean, that was cool going to Doc Mack over at Galloping Ghost, and he had the actual it was converted. So he had two cockpits. He had a cockpit Star Wars, but then he had another one that had been converted to Empire. So he kept it as Empire. I was like, that's awesome. He said, yeah, we could put them all in the same cabinet and have it on a switcher, but I'd rather have them both so we have all three of the Atari Star Wars. I was like, that's a good idea on that. So Gerard, we have to end it off.
Oh no, we got one more.
Let's go past that because we already. I think we went on a little too long. I'm looking at the time. Holy shit!
Oh, this will be a quick 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah, hit it.
The Battletoads arcade game developed by Rare.
Yes.
A fun as hell beat 'em up. I remember thinking that the arcade game came before the Nintendo game. I believe it's the opposite.
Yeah, it was the Nintendo, and then that came out, and then I think Battle Maniacs came out on Super Nintendo. But another game that was super hard to find.
Yes, but the reason for including it on our list is because of the snow stage, where there's literal signs, Christmas trees with Christmas lights, and snowmen with snowball fights. Yep. I believe the music even has like a Christmas vibe to it.
Yep.
The Pig Santa, they found the sprites. And they've made GIFs. Have still images. They have the animations of him. He used to stick his fat ass out at you. It's too bad that they didn't include it in the game. But there's still that snowy game, that snowy stage that is 100% Christmas vibes, right down to I think it's like synthesized jingle bells or something in the music. I
remember getting that on Steam. On MAME for the first time. I was like, wow, it's like I didn't even know there was a Battletoads arcade game. This was like, holy crap, look at that. I remember actually seeing one in the wild, just like how I saw Bucky O'Hare in the wild. Yeah. I think it was at the Atias flea market. It wasn't there Atias was weird because you would find a game and you'd be like, wow. And then all of a sudden it would vanish and you're like, where the hell did this come from? And where did it... Here's the main part. It was like, where the hell did it go? Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play it. That was like finding like Bubble Bobble over there and stuff like that. And it's like, we know of that was another game that was hard to find, was Bubble Bobble. It's like, I know it was a game. I know I played it, but it's like it was just hard to find it. What's awesome now, you can play the Battletoads arcade game through the Rare Replay collection. I believe it's a part of the Xbox Game Pass. So that's one of the games you can, just like a couple of games like Super Mario Bros. 3, you can play right now if you have a Switch and if you have the Nintendo, the console account or whatever. Yes. They're online. Nintendo Switch Online. They also added the Nintendo and the Game Boy Color version of Tetris on there, Tetris DX. They added them. So finally, Gerard, we have to talk about a show and a game that is tied to Christmas, I think, with a lot of people, because like a lot of people out there probably got their first game console, and this was one of the first games they played. Yep. We got to talk about the Pac-Man. For better part of a decade, I've been championing Pac-Man as being connected to Christmas. Oh, yeah. Part of it's the Christmas Comes to Pac-Land animation special, which I think I'll make that the image for this episode, because I was telling you, I have a still print, promo print, that was sent to like newspapers to run with the original air date stamped on the back and a brief synopsis to throw in their paper to promote it. But like you said, I remember playing Pac-Man on Atari for Christmas. It just seemed like for the first console, there was a Pac-Man game. I just want to give kudos to the guys over at Boomerang/Cartoon Network that play it once a year. And I remember, like, I turned it on one time. I was flipping through the channels. I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen this since I was a kid. And then there was like they did like a whole bunch of like the weird 80s like Christmas themed episodes of stuff like that.
It used to play on the USA Cartoon Express.
Yep.
Every year. That was it Snow White and the Seven Friendly Giants, a Filmation Christmas movie special.
It was just so weird because like out of nowhere, like they just started playing Christmas Comes to Pac-Land, and my parents had the they had the album, we had the cassette, and somewhere I think we had the record of it.
I have the record, and it's more like country music.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
I don't think it has like Marty Ingalls singing this back.
No.
Hiya, folks.
It's like there's some religious songs I think on it, Christmas songs, but it sounds almost like a country musician. I think the Ghosts almost sound like the Chipmunks briefly. It's not. It's one of those albums that you have. I believe it came out before the cartoon.
Yeah.
It's one of those albums that you have just because it
definitely feels like they had these songs somewhere and they're like, okay, what can we do? Like, all right, let's put Pac-Man on this fucking thing and sell this thing.
I mean, if I remember correctly, there are two songs there's one song that really stood out as actually a decent Christmas song. Maybe I'll throw it on the end of this episode for everyone to hear.
I mean, it's not like Christmas in the Stars where you can say like, hey, guess what? That's Bon Jovi on there. That's Bon Jovi. It's like, holy crap. You go back and you listen to that, like, holy crap, that really is him on there. Holy moly. Got to start with a Star Wars Christmas album. Yeah, but, like, Pac-Man was, like, a big thing. Like, you know, people getting the Coleco, the mini arcades and stuff like that. And obviously getting the Atari 2600 version and being incredibly disappointed.
Yep.
Well,
as a kid, I didn't know any better. I loved that game.
Know. But then, like, just the merchandising frenzy around it. If they could put Pac-Man's face on it, you're guaranteed that someone got something. And I know my brother got the Pac-Man big wheels with the where it had the mouth cut out, and then when you rode the bike, it looked like he was chomping on power pellets and ghosts and stuff like that. That was a really cool look. I mean, I still have it. It's it's in the other room. I have the Pac-Man garbage pail. I still have my Pac-Man garbage pail. Hey, get rid of that thing.
I had a Pac-Man garbage pail as a kid I got for Christmas one year. My favorite was the Tomy wind-up Pac-Man toy.
Yep.
That he wound up, it would move across the floor. It looked like his feet moved and his mouth would open and close and there'd be a ghost in his mouth.
There's the Pac-Man board game, of course, that had
that was a... I'd venture to say that's the best video game-based board game.
Yes. I mean, I had the Donkey Kong and I had the Popeye one because, like, Popeye was kind of like a dual kind of thing with me because I like both Popeye and I like the video game. So I was like, oh, Popeye board game, let's try it. And they're like, yeah, you sit there and you're like, you have to have something when you make a board game translation of a video game to make you actually want to play the board game, over the video game, especially now because, like, we have better access to them. But, like, even back in the day, like, I have the pole position one, and it's literally just whoever rolls the highest number wins. I was just like, this is like a very loose thing to say a game on here.
And for the Popeye one, you can play against another person. You're trying to catch the heart. I think it's like two players. One person's Popeye, one person's like the bad guys, and you have to alternate with how the hearts come down and trying to collect the hearts. They try to make it too much like the arcade game. That's like, oh my god, this is a lot of moving pieces that's involved.
Versus and then like, the Tetris one comes out and like, dude, just Pentaminos. It's the original Tetris.
Yeah. Then the Pac-Man one, you had your little Pac-Man character and you go around the board pushing down, eating the white marbles. The ghost would move around if you got a yellow marble.
Yep, you had your power pellets. I mean, I just love the figures from that themselves. I would you could just have them as like shelf pizzas. You don't even have to play with them. They just looked really cool.
Do you remember Chris's boss that owned the frame shop?
Yes.
Going down into his basement arcade, and he had the Pac-Man game mounted and framed in like almost like a shadow box. So you had the board game opened, the marbles were all glued into the spots, and then you had the ghost glued on the side and a couple of the Pac-Mans in the corners glued on the side. I saw that. I'm like, oh my God, I would love to have that hanging up.
Yeah, I know they at Fun Spot they have something like that too. But I think that they just have the game board, it's stapled to the wall, and that's about it.
Yep, or I think it's either the game board or it's the box.
I think it's the box and the game board. I have to look at the photo because I haven't been to Fun Spot in years, but you know more than me, and they might have changed everything since I've been there last. But yep, I always think of Pac-Man when it comes to the holidays. Obviously, like we said with the Weird Album and all that other weird stuff that they have there. So, no, it's got a lot of nostalgic memories because that was like, the Atari came out and people that might have not had an Atari definitely got Pac-Man that Christmas.
Pac-Man took over the world.
Absolutely. He was the man. I mean, it was something that men and women got into. Everybody loved Pac-Man. And then it took America to revolutionize it and make it better. Thank you, Miss Pac-Man.
Yep.
It just sucks that At Games has a stranglehold on it, and we can't get like a really good version of it out there. So hopefully one day we will.
That's why I'm glad it's on the Pixel Bash. It's one of the games.
Yep. So great stuff out there, Gerard.
Yep.
So also, I want to give a shout out. I apologize. I should have did this before. On our last episode, we had a gentleman actually comment on our video that we did. The last one we were talking about the arcade redemption, or the the pinball redemption. Where is it? Let's go over here. So let's give
the tickets that Jersey Jack was coming out with.
Yeah.
The unit for like an FEC, a Family Entertainment Center, having a bunch of games linked up and giving out tickets to make it a redemption game.
Yep, so we'll give shout-outs to Andy's Odyssey. He says, never have I seen any venue utilizing a ticket option. You can still buy the Stern ticket system from Marco, and Stern still has the option in the menu on other games. Maybe if it was set for a single ticket, only scores achieved for like a drawing, or a drawing based on winning a ticket. Having the machines give tickets for basic prize counters sounds like it'll never work. Because the way pinball is now and what works and honing skills for tournaments, it what drives me to play it, not for prize redemption.
Yep.
So I said, great episode. All right, you're welcome. Thank you very much for your comment. We really appreciate it. So, Gerard, do you have anything else to leave off for on the kids?
Nope, that's it. Just we're stable now over at Podbean. We don't have to worry about episodes dropping or losing episodes. Just keep checking back. We'll probably have another. We're trying to do we're definitely doing one episode a month. We're trying to do 2 episodes a month. Sneak an extra one in.
Yep. And
keep checking the social medias. And I just got the login stuff for Blue Sky, so I can start posting over there because I'm getting tired of Twitter.
Yeah, if I just had something that I could just hit one button and was like, okay, post this photo. Where do you want to post it? Post it on Twitter. Post it on Threads. Post it on this. Post it on that. Just do one thing. It would be nice. And so until someone comes up with that, we're just going back and forth on all of them. So that's what I do.
That's like people wishing that someone would come up with something for all the streaming services and channels to be a part of, so you only have to have one thing and have access to all this stuff. I had
called cable television.
Yep, I had a couple of teachers say that. I'm like, yeah, it's called cable TV.
Yep. All right, folks. So we want to wish you all a very happy holiday season, a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a dignified Ramadan, a tip-top tet. Is that... I forget what the other... from Krusty.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening. Thank you. And make sure you check us out on all of your favorite social media sites. And until then, have a great day. And we'll talk to you guys later on the Arcade Hunters podcast. Take care.
See ya.
A very Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
A very Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Season's greetings.
The Chips family would like to wish your family a very happy holiday season.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Season's greetings.
Merry Christmas.
Season's greetings.
A Merry Christmas.
The warmest season's greetings.
From all of us at Channel 4.
Happy holidays.